This appears to not, this is not the updated. It does not appear to be.
And what was your updates in it? Well, we can talk about it during the UDO.
They just took out the remaining references to the pilot project and put a statement that mirrored what Penny said in the meeting, that this doesn't apply to the pilot project that's currently in existence.
Okay.
So,
We can discuss it during the
yeah,
UDO.
you could say, we'll look at those changes and sign it next meeting or something.
Okay. Or we could do like before, where we approve it and then pending your changes and sign it.
Pending changes.
6 o'clock. You guys good? Bill, you ready? Okay. We'll call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for attending tonight's Commissioners meeting. We'll begin with roll call. Misty Hess.
Present.
RJ Donovan here. Bill Peebles. Here. All righty, all in attendance. I'll entertain a motion for approval of minutes from April 1st, 2025.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Ms. Hess. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Peebles. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Aye.
carries. I'll entertain a motion for approval of claims from April 1st, 4th, 11th, 18th, 25th, 28th of 2025, and May 2nd.
motion for approval. Sorry about that.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
I'll second him.
Second by Mrs. Hess. Do I have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Approval of payroll from claims from April 11th, 2025 and April 25th. I'll entertain a motion for those.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hess. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Peebles. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We will now open this time up for public comment. We ask that you come to the podium if you wish to speak, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Clayton Sanguinetti, Remain County resident. I'm kind of disappointed that none of the commissioners were at the APC hearing. If you came, you would have seen all the people standing against this. A commissioner's job is to represent local interests at every level. You need to represent us. You should be educating yourselves on the issues that are important to your constituents of the county. Your constituents don't want CCS. There are maps that show pipelines from other places coming here to put their CCS waste under our property too. The Cayuga Duke plant even said in their RFP that they are considering CCS too. And I know you went up there and spoke on how great they were and everything, but do we want a carbon dump in the north end too? Because it's coming. Are you willing to have a dump in the north part of the county? You need to pass a moratorium and get protections in place from this nonsense. And I know I've seen a letter that Spur wrote that says how many jobs it's going to create and that they ought to come and tour the plant. It don't matter how many jobs this is going to create. It matters how many lives are going to be affected by this. 52,000 trucks a year coming up the highway. If there's a wreck, there's so much uneducation from this. You guys need to start educating yourselves and find out what's going on.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Doug Martin. I'm the town board president of Universal. I don't have a lot to say. I've said enough already, and I think most of us have. I just want to say I know that the moratorium does not affect the Universal pilot program, but I do think there should be some type of moratorium passed so we don't have this all over the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment before we move on?
Come on, Jack. You go ahead.
Try not to holler so loud.
He yelled at the last one. He didn't realize how strong his voice was.
Yeah, Jack Swalls. And they're gonna put this pipe pump, whatever you wanna call it. It's not a well. Just about an eyesight of my property. And I got grandkids that comes over and visits me. We go fishing and we hunt there. And I don't know, maybe you just don't listen to the news or whatever, where these lines that failed before, the damage that it's caused. These trucks, I'm so afraid that many trucks sliding off the road or something, and if something ruptures on that tank, it's not gonna be good for anybody. And I can't understand this company and how it got this far. We're talking about human lives or drinking water. It's not gonna just affect me, it's gonna affect you all. You know, and maybe that's not registering, I don't know, but where are we gonna move to? You know, I got 99.6 acres, 2 ponds, log house on it. My property value is gonna drop like a rock. Where am I gonna go, you know? So please, in your decision making, there are a lot of people here trying to talk about this, and I know we've been here before, but we're here to back you up, and we're hoping you all is gonna back us up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy Pyle, Vermillion County resident. I know you heard me a million times so far. I'm against this. We may not be able to stop this pilot project, unfortunately, but let's stop the rest. We need a temporary moratorium now so we can get things settled. But in my opinion, we need a permanent ban. We don't need any more of this. This one's bad enough. We don't need any more. And I wish the 3 of you could have been at the meeting, at the public hearing. It would have been nice to have representation there. This stuff is so bad. We don't need it going through our towns. Nobody wants this. We have 2,100 members on the Facebook page, and I know we've gotten hundreds and hundreds of signatures. Nobody wants this. We need a permanent ban, not just a temporary one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got some handouts for the commissioners.
I'll pass them out for you and go ahead and start.
Thank you, Penny.
So when they're transporting these things in trucks, you have.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Jeff Steinbrown, I'm with our Ridgeline Farmers.
Thank you.
And you have 5 different pieces on the front page here for the carbon dioxide. It's either going to be a dense liquid or it's going to be supercritical fluid, both of which have the ability to completely unload the truck. So if it's supercritical, it has a propensity to have a 1,300 foot diameter kill zone. Then this back page of this shows how they can get from the atmospheric all the way up to the supercritical zone. The critical point on carbon dioxide is that 88 degrees and 1070 psi. So they're planning on having it at 2,800 metric tons of carbon dioxide. The only way you can do that is in a dense liquid. So if you look at the 3rd page of that piece, this shows how the density changes with the fluid. So you have a line that's going up from 31.1, that's the same thing as 88 degrees. That's in Celsius there for 31.1. And you see how it's low density, where there's high temperature and lower pressure. As you get the bigger pressure, you're gonna have a higher density. But it's nowhere in the supercritical thing is it going to be bigger than a 770 kilograms per cubic meter. But it can get up higher in the dense fluid. So with the dense liquid, it was still going to unload the machine. So if there's multiple things that are wrong with the class 6 application for the well. So they have little or no experience in constructing, operating supercritical fluids, because it's going to have to be supercritical by the time it gets down to the bottom of that well. They're going 5,000 feet. That's going to be somewhere around 144 degrees Fahrenheit and around 2,300 PSI. And it's the same type of situation they have at Archer Daniels Midland over in Decatur, Illinois. So they are already leaking. And these folks plan on putting 16 times the rate. So it's pressurizing underneath. So when they first load it, the carbon dioxide is going to dissolve into the water and form carbonic acid. That's what's going to cause the pore space. It's going to dissolve the dolomite underneath the shale. And so that is going to be a higher mixture of the total dissolved solids, and that's what's threatening the lower aquifers. And that's what the EPA's shut them down over in Illinois. Those are only 2 operating type 6 wells there are. And I got another email that is disturbing from Neelan Gupta. They're seeking a permit to inject the 1.6 million tons, which is twice the original volume as before, for 6 years. And they're wondering whether they can double that rate. That's going to cause a higher pressurization and more leakage of the mud, which is going to get into the aquifer.
All right, thank you.
I'm for a moratorium forever.
Thank you, sir.
Penny Carpenter, Vermilion County Area Plan. I was informed that WVR is in contact with someone at the county level. I know they're not in contact with me, so I'd like to ask each of you commissioners. Misty, have you been in communication weekly with WVR?
Weekly? No.
So you have been in contact. RJ?
WVR has emailed me like they have in the past with like the former EDA plan, but it's not been any more than 8 commissioners. It was just like the UDO. They'd asked us if we were going to pass the moratorium.
And Bill?
I have had no contact with.
John Spur.
Well, I'm not a commissioner, I'm a lawyer.
But I would like to know is
I
if
was
you're
asked to
representing the
attend, I was
commissioners.
instructed by the commissioners to attend a meeting and report back what was said there, and I did so.
Have you been in contact with WVR since that meeting?
No.
Okay, thanks. Don't get defensive. It's okay. No is an okay answer if it's the truth.
Any other public comment before we move on?
Bill Wilson, is this recording?
Yep.
Good. I'm a serviceman. I took an oath from service to protect the United States and the people, and I will do that with my life. Now, if you people were not at this meeting last week, I was surprised. You would have got a lot of good information. It was full. Now, if you people, we need to do like this other state I seen on the computer. They didn't want to vote on this. I don't know if they didn't have the nerve, or they're afraid of the big people, or they were paid off, or what. But if you people don't want to say anything, let us vote on it. What's wrong with that? I'm all in this. I'm going to do whatever I can to stop this. This is not good. I'll do it for the elderly, the people, the young people, whoever. I'm all in. And I can't believe people are not in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good evening. My name is Evelyn Davis. I am a Vigo County resident, but I'm less than a mile from the Vermilion County line. You guys have at least made a better effort to speak to us and listen to us than other people have. But I want to urge you to fight this with everything in your bones, because these if they truck this, it's going to be up and down 63 over and over and over all day long through a lot of northern Vigo County, through Vermilion County. And there was just 2 semi-wrecks on I-70 last week, both burst into flames. What's going to happen if trucks like this, an accident like that happens on 63, and it's probably a far less highway prepared to handle this kind of traffic. And like I said, the one here in Vermilion County is not all that far from Ernie Pye Elementary. And basically, if any of you have children, if this goes through, I would urge you to please put your children in Ernie Pyle, so you will understand the effects of this. If it happens, you will also know the effects that everybody else is going to suffer. And just please fight it with everything you have, to protect our citizens, our children, the property, because we keep hearing about trying to bring stuff to Terre Haute and to Vermilion County and all the stuff. Well, who's going to want to bring a new business here and try to encourage people to come if they're going to be putting them next to a toxic dump? We have to think about the future of our county, not just in the short term, in the long term, because it's going to be harder and harder to draw people here if we have this toxic dump and it's too close to 2 schools, and now they want to put one close to another school or 2 elementary schools in the north end of the county too. So please, please fight this with everything in your bones. Please, I'm asking you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Mike Kelly, and I live in Fairview. And I'm trying to save you some money, I think. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know the answers to these. But it looks like to me the state said they'd sue you if we didn't change this rule or the ordinances. And what I was thinking about on that is that's kind of a threat to an elected official. And if you guys do that, and they change the eminent domain again to where they can take your property and stuff, I was thinking, wouldn't there be a class action suit among the several people or states that could get together?
It wouldn't be something that, this is what I've said repeatedly at these meetings, Universal Town Board, that would be something a private citizen or a group of private citizens could do.
Right.
It's something that the legislature has prohibited the local government from doing.
Right.
It's kind of like you're mad at the post office, so you're protesting at the license branch.
I see.
So.
Well, I thought of that on my own, so I'm not an attorney by
Okay.
any means.
No, you guys should all go get private attorneys, or all of you get one private
We get a
attorney.
private attorney, because I think if you took this to court and they looked at the changes and the safety aspect of it and the number of people that didn't want it, a jury of our peers probably would side with us. So maybe we ought to make it a really big lawsuit. And I'm against this, and I don't want to, for obvious reasons stated. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we will move on with the agenda. You have a couple more?
Hi, is that it? Yep. My name's Meg Steinbraun. I'm from Indiana. I just want to say, thank you. I just want to say that all these people here who own property right here, anywhere near where the pipeline could be or where the aquifer is going to be filled, should assess their property now, okay? Get it in writing, assess all your property so that when something happens, you know what it was worth. Because they don't care. Seems like it, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Number one, I'm not here to talk about all these things that are being talked about now. I'm here to ask you how this could have occurred without us knowing. It's made it all the way to the State House.
I need
With,
I need your name.
my name is Rick Trout. I live on Strawberry Road, next to Brillowitz Creek. I'm just almost on the other side of the curve, but nonetheless. How it made it to the State House without any conversation, and this being stuffed into a bill and put into the State House without any of us, we the people, knowing this. It's shameful, absolutely shameful. So now it's gonna pass. All these words we're using today are gonna be useless. Why? Well, the eminent domain. I'm sorry, you're all gonna move. I spent my whole life, well, my married life, buying a home, paying taxes, 5 acres, no big deal. Bottom line, I own it. Planned on retiring here, but I'm being told very possibly then you could condemn my property and tell me I'm gonna have to move. I ain't gonna get anything of what it's worth that I made the investment to it, or any of the tax money, and it's bullshit if they say you do. I'm very well aware. I deal in business. I don't have a sign in my front yard saying no, and I'm not a political pusher or anything else. I'm a normal human being, living in a peaceful little spot, and it's about to be turned upside down, very possibly, if you do not want this moratorium to stop it. These papers that I've given you is the next door state. Big promises, big money, big drilling, big failure. That's the reason they're in red folder. They've already contaminated the water table. What the hell do you people want to do? Seriously, why would this not have been an absolute no? You gotta be kidding me. 2 strangers was at the last meeting. I've never seen them, I never know them, and you know what they were there for? Same thing, bartering for their team. They shouldn't even have been allowed in there, but it doesn't make any difference. We treated them simple like a human being. You know, that's what you're supposed to do. But bottom line, why can you not inform? Why could this not been that we find out that it's at the State House in a freaking bill for eminent domain? How the hell does that happen? I mean, there wasn't no meetings on it, wasn't no voting, no ability of us to say yay or nay. I mean, what? It just happens? It didn't magically happen. Money moves everything. We all know it. So my question is what are we able to do short of this moratorium? 5 steps behind the bad guys. Is there any answers, gentlemen? Any at all?
I think a lot of your answers, you know, if I could speak, I won't speak on behalf of all the commissioners, but like you stated, the state of Indiana passed a budget the other day that included eminent domain. Almost, that's a good question for your state representatives. Our local state representative here voted for the budget. You know, there's Tanya Piaf had a Terre Haute voted against it, you know, so I think those are questions for your state legislators. Unfortunately, this was a bill written by them, right. And I think, if I could speak for all of them, I think we all share the same concern that whether it's the federal government or whether it's the state of Indiana, bills are passed constantly without constituent, you know, input. You know, just like this pilot project, you know, we're stuck with that here in the county. But yet, if you're in Warren County, you have to reach, I might say it wrong, 70% or 75% of the landowners agreeing. That would have been nice to have in Vermilion County, but unfortunately, we didn't get that. You know, it's 60%. Thank you, Clay. So, you know, that would have been nice throughout the state. But you know, we have state legislators, and I think everybody should, you know, whether it's call your state legislators, call your elected officials. I've listened to a lot of concerns from the people in the crowd here. I've taken emails, phone calls, and I hear all of them, and I've heard them for multiple years, and I understand those concerns. But when the state writes a law, unless that law is repealed, and the state legislator has made it abundantly clear that the majority of them are not going to do that, you know, and it's unfortunate. But I would encourage you to reach out to your state representatives and your state leadership.
So then the contamination of the water is going to happen because the state wants to, and we don't talk to the state representatives. Oh yeah, we voted for the state representatives. Oh yeah, we voted for all you guys. What the hell?
But again,
this is
a state thing, though. This isn't a commissioner's. We didn't authorize this, or
I understand you didn't authorize it, but how come you didn't try and block it? I mean, couldn't we have had a big ass rally and we could have all showed up and actually said no, i.e., the elected people? I mean, that's what we elect you for, is to protect us, right? That's what we pay frickin' taxes for, is to protect us. Well, I don't feel too damn protected, nor do I feel included in the loop by any means. Well, because we weren't. I wouldn't even be here unless I was informed by other people that if I didn't come to the moratorium, I wouldn't even have been here at the last meeting.
Yeah. Well, I would also express the concerns that you've made about the eminent domain. That was added in the most recent state budget.
Right.
That wasn't added by any sitting commissioner, and every commissioner sitting here has ultimately opposed eminent domain.
Okay.
So your local state representative did not.
Great.
Okay. So that's a discussion you have with them, not with us here locally.
Why aren't you at those meetings and making our voices known? That's what I'm asking you. I can't attend to these meetings. I can't call people. I work 12 hours a day at work, every friggin' Monday through Friday.
Every commissioner sitting here at this table has full-time jobs, and those bills that were put in, we weren't notified, just like you weren't notified.
Understood. So how come you are not
at the State House at 10 o'clock at night when nobody's there when that's happening?
Exactly.
But you elect people in this room and at the State House. Those are the ones that voted for this eminent domain. Those are the conversations you need to be having with state representatives.
Yeah.
And if you're upset with them that they approve that eminent domain.
I'm asking, how are we going to have the avenue of that when you guys work all day long and don't have the avenue.
I don't have the avenue either. I'm not elected to the State House. Mr. Peebles is elected to the
I'm
State
not
House.
elected to the State House either.
But you know who
Well,
your state representatives are.
if I cared, I would.
Okay.
Bottom line,
I've
selling the country
expressed-
out underneath our feet, polluting the water Terre. I'm here way south of Terre Haute, for God's sakes. It's a gigantic waterfront.
I can assure you, once I found out that eminent domain was in that budget bill, I contacted Mr. Deering,
Thank you. That's what
Mr.
I was
Yoakum.
asking. When did something
I
happen?
contacted all my state representatives.
Great. And what were you given?
I wasn't giving
hang up
anything.
on the
I wasn't
door?
giving anything other than I don't believe it's eminent domain is what I was given, and the
Yeah.
budget passed.
Right. Right.
So I could share that concerns with you guys here tonight, but the budget passed.
Yeah, okay, so now it's passed. All right, so now, no matter how much complaining we do, if they have eminent domain at the state level, that means they can tell us adios amigos, right? Pretty much. Straight up, you guys are in that position. Eminent domain means we can do whatever the hell we want to with the land in the state of Indiana, no matter how much taxes you paid for it, no matter how much of a home you own, no matter any of that. Agree? Is that not what eminent domain means? It really sucks. And that's what I'm here to say. It sucks. It sucks really bad, and it should have never made it to there. And it should have had rallies beyond a couple of meetings on the tail end of the pony's tail.
All right.
It really sucks.
All right. You're through.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Kathy Brock, and what I'm wanting to say here is we know that you're not our representatives. We all understand that. There's not one person, I don't think, in this room that is for Wabash Valley Resource, what they're doing to us. Not one person. You know, and we're not here, you know, trying to beat you up. We're asking you to pass this moratorium. That's all you have to do. That gives us 8 months to figure out what's going on. You know, that's all we're asking. We're not asking you to go to the state and try to change things. You can't do that. We can't do it either. We can't do anything with our representatives. We've already talked to them, so have you. But you have the power. All three of you have a power to pass this moratorium that gives us a chance to figure things out. That's all we're asking.
Thank you.
I'm Teresa Langelier. I'm a resident of Vermilion County, and I would just like to go on record as saying I'm adamantly against the CO2 sequestering, dumping, whatever you want to call it. And I don't care if it's Wabash Valley or whoever it is, any company. I mean, it's toxic. It doesn't matter whether we're trucking it. It doesn't matter whether we're throwing it to the ground or what we're doing with it. It's toxic. Ultimately, eventually, is going to destroy our water. Our most precious resource, other than the people here. So I just think, I mean, we're not even taking into consideration there weren't 2 major fault lines, which even makes it even more insane. So just want to go on record saying I'm very against it. I hope you pass a moratorium. I would like to, I keep hearing people say there's nothing we can do about the pilot program. I'd like to think that there is something you can do about the pilot program as well, because that will eventually fail as too. Whether it's our generation, 100 years from now, it's gonna fail. So I would like to think that maybe you can get your heads together to figure out how we can get the pilot program out of the way too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other public comment, we'll be moving on with the, oh, one more?
I couldn't get in the back way.
That's all right, go ahead.
Some of you were here last time. There's 21 whereases on this document. By the way, my name is Dot Bar Lindsay. I'm from Clinton as a resident. And I have concerns because when I read the whereases, there's been many of them saying the danger, and you're here to protect the people, the water, the farmland, and everything that's in this whereases tells me that we're moving forward and disregarding what is in here and what it's supposed to be. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we can't stop the pilot program. So our next choice is the temporary moratorium. So that should be passed.
but I'm concerned about the language. Everything is about the language, and that's something that needs to be taken care of and looked closely. We should stop using the language to be able to say, no more pilots, no more expansions, no more hazardous waste. We should not be a dumping site for poison. And I'm also a councilwoman in the city of Clinton, and I'm concerned about what is going to happen if something goes awry. And our neighbor are those who live in Universal. And we need to make sure, because we're all in this together, that we go ahead and be cautious and careful on the next step, because the first step is already taken care of, from my understanding. Correct? So now we need to be prudent about the next step and what's in the moratorium and how that's going to help us for the future. And I'm also concerned, one last thing, about after they leave in 12 years, we are left with what? Our economy. We're supposed to bring businesses in here. Who will want to get a household here? Who will want to expand their existing business, or let alone get new businesses in here? We need to really think this forward, and we should take the 8 months or February 2026, whichever comes first, and really do deep dive research and put a plan of action that is at least somewhat preventable. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any other public comment before we move on with the agenda?
I'm not good at public speaking. My name is Barb Edler. I'm from Vigo County, and our commissioners already sold us out 2 years ago when they okayed this whole thing. And I am walking around a community who doesn't even know what's happening to them. And I'm concerned. I've taught school for 41 years. I'm not, and I don't mean this to sound crass, I'm not so worried about the people in this room, because we'll probably all be dead before it gets really bad. Before our children in this county and my county and anyone down the river has no water. Because when that man back there explained to you what it would do underground, under that pressure and that temperature, what it's going to do to the shale, it's going to be like living in a hellhole, if you can live. So I'm asking you, as a person from outside of this community, to protect the other communities. Give these people, they have fought so hard for 2 years, give them 8 months to go get their lawyer and try to file a class action suit and stop it. And if you can't see that, you're blind. And I'm sorry that I'm loud. I'm so nervous right now. I do not like doing this. But you guys are like our last hope. And I'm speaking for people that don't even understand, that they're like oblivious to what's going on down in my county, except for the two sitting here that are from West Terre Haute. Okay, so that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any more public comment before we move on with the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Open issues, area plan, Brad Johnson, Penny Carpenter, Vermilion County UDO update.
This is really just a simple update. The last commissioner meeting, you had asked for the 3 sections relating to carbon sequestration to be removed, which then sends it back to the Area Plan Commission. At their next meeting, they did certify it as having been removed.
Okay.
And voted on that. So officially, those 3 paragraphs were removed. It was then advertised per state statute. On April 30th, that advertisement went in just saying that the county has adopted a new UDO.
Okay.
And at that point, per state statute, is the date that that ordinance becomes effective. So you actually have a new zoning ordinance and subdivision control ordinance in place as of April 30th.
And Brad, is that new UDO ordinance on the county website for public review?
Yes.
Okay, because I do know we had talked before, and I know the other commissioners are still reviewing the document or have reviewed it. I'm still receiving concerns about, the septic, the 2 acre to 1 acre, some fence issues. So I think once the commissioners maybe get together, if we do have things we'd like changed, we would just send them back to you to have them changed. Is that correct?
Yeah, it starts at the area planning commission, so
Awesome.
a letter, a written request typically is what triggers that, and then they go through the adoption process or crafting process.
And you've agreed to stay on for was it a year if there was any issues?
So I warranty our work for a year, meaning that if there's any errors or omissions, that type of stuff that are found, that we will take care of that at no additional cost. If there's an oversight of some sort, if you change policy or change direction, we try to do that at a nominal cost.
Okay, sure. Commissioners, any other comments, questions for Mr. Johnson? No? Thank you. All right, moving on to new business. In your packet, you have ownership of a 1-ton red truck transfer to the town of Cayuga. The superintendent had reviewed that. The town of Cayuga approached the highway department about transferring a truck to the town of Cayuga. You'll see an agreement in here that states we would transfer the truck, but upon the town of Cayuga no longer utilizing it, whether that's 1 year from now or 10 years from now, they will return that truck back to the county. So we need to approve that tonight if there's agreement. I have a motion by Mr. Peebles to approve. I have a second by Mrs. Peebles, or Mrs. Hess, I stand corrected.
Thank you.
I apologize. Any further discussion on that matter? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
And we are not financially responsible for
Nope.
that truck while it's in their possession and.
Nope, I think if they can get it transferred tomorrow, Kylie and Mike will work on getting that off the insurance policy and all that good stuff, and they'll take ownership of that. All right, next item on the agenda, cost principle and procurement policy. John had emailed you guys that. That was something the SBOA had wrote us up for last year.
Last year, yeah.
For federal grant guidelines. If you guys had reviewed that policy, it's kind of cut and dry. It's pretty much the same for every county. We just need to get one approved to have it on the books. That way it's not continually to get wrote up by the county. So if there's no objections, I'll entertain a motion to approve that policy as written.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Peebles to approve the cost principle policy as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Hess. Do I have any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. Next on the agenda, we have First Financial Bank Literacy Program. Do we have somebody from First Financial Bank to speak on that tonight?
I do.
Do you have the official document for the truck transfer, or is that in these here? Okay, thank you.
Hi, thank you for your time. My name is Leslie Warner and this is Brooke Hawkins. We had presented information to each of the commissioners about a financial literacy program that the bank is offering for Vermilion County employees. It is no cost to the county. It is no cost to any of the employees. We would distribute financial literacy pieces once a quarter to whoever you decide that one contact would be. We don't ask for your employee information, anything like that. And then that one person would distribute the financial literacy information. If those employees are customers of the bank, then they would have other perks with that program as well, including no closing costs on consumer loans, some credit card rewards points, those type of things.
Okay.
And I believe all of you received the information, correct?
Yes.
And I would just add, it's a value added, no cost benefit. If you read through the document, the agreement, it's pretty cut and dry, pretty clear. No long-term commitments, canceled at any time type stuff. So.
Awesome. Commissioners, any questions, comments for First Financial?
I don't really have any.
No? I think it's a good program for that. I mean, I think a lot of people bank with First anyway, and having another thing offer, I think that'd be great. I don't know, Misty, would you recommend like HR being the point of contact, or so Billy Bush? Okay. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agreement with First Financial Bank as presented to us tonight.
Make a motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hess. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Peoples. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you very much.
And Misty will get you that contact for Billy Bush, our HR payroll.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Thrive Residential Market Potential Analysis and Homes for the Future. Anybody from Thrive want to speak on that tonight? You have those in there too, right? Okay.
Hi, my name is Jordan Cunningham. I'm a grant writer with Thrive West Central. You guys should have received a contract for owner occupied with the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. This is for the owner occupied is a program that we are going to apply for on behalf of Vermilion County, excuse me. We have successfully done this with Montgomery County, and we are currently doing the program administration with them. What it is a program that allows residents to apply for up to $25,000 for radon remediation, roof repair, water heater, HVAC, those types of repairs at no cost to them. And they can apply through Vermilion County and apply for those services.
And Jordan, and there should be, I think we're supposed to sign 2 agreements tonight, one for the market analysis and one for the Homes for the Future.
Homes for the Future is through Michelle or Julie.
Okay. I know Scott Craig, Scott Craig had emailed us one contract, but it had the old commissioner's names on it.
Okay,
So
you should have received that today from Michelle.
Okay, so we should have a new one then.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or comments on that? Both of these programs are being funded. The one program is going to be funded through Clinton Redevelopment Commission, the Vermilion County Redevelopment Commission, and the Vermilion Rise. And then the other one, Homes for the Future, is being funded by the Vermilion County Redevelopment Commission at $50,000, potentially $55,000. If they give us the $55,000, we can get the whole $500,000 for the county. Speaking to board members, I think they're in favor of going to that $55,000. So if there's no other comments or questions for Thrive, I entertain a motion for approval of the contract signing for the residential market analysis and the Homes for the Future contract.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Peoples for both contracts. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Hess. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. We'll get those signed, get those sent over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty, Brad and Penny again. Proposed moratorium on carbon sequestration projects.
All right, good evening again. So you've been distributed a draft, or I shouldn't say a draft, a moratorium ordinance. This is a zoning ordinance, even though it doesn't necessarily look like a zoning ordinance. This moratorium is adopted through through statutes for zoning. So therefore, it does start at the Area Plan Commission. It's a unique, again, all planning and zoning stuff starts at the APC and then comes to the commissioners. Similar to the UDO, the APC has to hold a public hearing, which is what was held last week, and then with an affirmative vote to certify it or a favorable recommendation, forwarding it to the commissioners. That's what you have in front of you. This draft was based on templates that the APC's consulting attorney, Bob Ehrenman, prepared. I drafted then from his model and then had him proof it. So he has actually reviewed and certified this as being ready for the APC meeting and therefore appropriate and certified for the county commissioners. So that's where we're at. I don't know if you want to read through this or maybe you already have. It really is asking for 8 months, assuming that it's going to take a couple of months to adopt any kind of revisions to the UDO or any other ordinances that may come out of that 8-month process. To me, I look at it as a 6-month window to actually get work done and then 2 months to work through the adoption process for those. At this point, there's no drafts or there's no concept exactly of what APC or what would be brought forward to the commissioners to try to mitigate, stop, slow down, whatever the terms are. Again, I don't even want to make promises because we don't have that information. But for instance, Bob Ehrenman has made it clear that performance-based zoning standards can apply to any subsequent carbon sequestration projects, meaning that we can do things like separation from schools, churches, places of assembly, that type of thing. That's a performance-based standard. It doesn't ban necessarily that. A performance-based standard is not a ban. It's a making sure things are done with common sense and safety and life safety in mind. But it also can include things like truck route provisions and just a variety of things. If we find holes in state and federal regulations, again, Bob Ehrenman's recommendation is that we can, through local regulations, impose standards. But where there are regulations at the state or federal government, we can't duplicate or try to supersede those regulations. But we need to have some time to research and figure out what are those voids, if there are any, and where we're not stepping on the toes of other regulatory agencies and putting regulations locally in place. That's another place that we can at least target and focus on and maybe be successful at. So again, this is based on Bob Ehrenman's past work in doing moratoriums. It's based on what he understands from reading all of the legislation, including we have not gotten a memo yet. We have asked him for a memo regarding the state budget, where they added that just to get his take on if there is any weaknesses there. We don't suspect there are, but it's good to just get somebody's outside opinion on what that really means for the county. So that I'll stop and answer any questions that you might have.
Did you get the cleaned up version that I sent back?
I saw that it's just like zoning in that if the commissioners want to make changes, is that has to get requested back to the Area Planning Commission, and they have to hold another public hearing and make those changes and certify those changes.
And it's essentially an ordinance though, right?
It is an ordinance, yes.
So couldn't we do it just as an ordinance?
Not
without the cleanup?
Unfortunately, because it is part of the zoning statutes that it's adopted under, we follow those
and
processes.
Could you have Bob address two additional things in his
Sure.
memo? If he would address, and I can get you these in email, but it's 36138, which is the power specifically withheld statute that bans local government from regulating. If he can just explain in a little more detail so we can attach that, why this is legal. And then we've been talking about the budget. There's another one that everybody should be reading, which is Senate Bill 457, which has been signed by the governor, which adds even more changes and authority to carbon sequestration. So we should discuss how this won't run us afoul of that. And that's just so these guys can say they got advice from your land use expert that this was legal.
Let me just ask, it's statute 36-1-3-8, is that what you said? For the power
36-1-3-8, and specifically subpart 7.
Okay.
Power to regulate conduct that is regulated by a state agency except as expressly granted by statute.
Okay.
And then if he could address how this is okay considering Senate Bill 457, because that's going to be
been passed?
It's passed. As far as I can tell, it's passed and been signed by the governor. And
Well, you talked about one in July, so I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, because it's going to become effective July 1st, and it deals with like permitting processes and stuff that carbon sequestration doesn't have to comply with if they're doing certain things. And again, I just think you should give the commissioners that from your guy to say, here's why signing this would be legal.
Based on his review, I mean, I know he feels that this is legal, and I understand that there are some moving pieces that maybe we need to address. What I would like to ask of you tonight is to move forward with this moratorium, and if we find out through a memo, is we would come back to you with a revision to it that would be
Because you said the last one was legal.
I never said those 3 paragraphs were legal.
So it just,
I said
like I said,
that,
I'd like
I said
to
that
protect
that is,
these 3.
I said that those are gray areas and it is untested.
And we wanted you to make a stand. We wanted you 3 commissioners to make a stand. Okay, I'm talking for a minute, Bob. Sorry, Brad. Brad, Bob, you got me upset. Listen, this moratorium is brief. It was prepared and reviewed by Bob Ehrman, the attorney that we hired, a land use attorney out of Fort Wayne. So far this year, I've spent $8,206 on attorney fees. Do you know what I spend in a normal year? $4,000. You're wasting taxpayers' money because you're worried about being threatened and bullied by Wabash Valley Resources. It is straightforward. It is from the attorney. It's what he recommended. You wanted us to hire an attorney. Fine. We went, we hired an attorney. You wanted his opinion. He gave us our opinion. He's like, that's gray area. If they don't want it, take it out. Fine, we take it out. We come back with this, per his recommendation. And now you're like, oh, well, hold on. They're passing something else in July. You guys have to protect the citizens of this county.
It's hard to follow that. I will make the commitment to you, if you move forward with this, to make any revisions that come out of a review for the Senate Bill 457 or the state statutes 36-1-3-8 subsection 7 per John's request. I will ask a memo to be created to just justify how does this happen. Let me just give you a little bit of background on land use law attorneys. In Indiana, 95% of them work for Wabash Valley resource type companies, whether they're residential developers or commercial developers or whatever. And they do not want to work for municipalities. They don't like to work both for municipalities and the public sector or the private sector. They choose one side or the other. Bob Ehrman is one of the few that has always represented cities, towns, and counties. He's been in this business a long time. His reputation is impugnable. He's worked for helping communities fight and successfully fight pipeline projects, mining projects, all types of stuff. He is our state's best public sector representative for anything related to land use law. I just don't know, and I've never heard of anybody else. Every private sector attorney that I ask, they all say, call Bob Ehrman. There's probably better in other states, who knows, but no one that really knows Indiana state statutes like he does and that follows it. This is what he does day in and day out. He's probably going to be practicing law for another 5 or so years. He's getting close to retirement age. We're hoping to just have his knowledge. He's a very good resource. He does not want his name associated with something that's going to get overturned in court. For that reason, I just know that he's comfortable with this based on his review. But as a courtesy and to make sure that we haven't overstepped, I do agree that we should pursue that. So what we would hope to do in this 6 months, again, is to just investigate as best we can where there may be some holes that we can plug, we can do something about subsequent projects. We made it clear at the public hearing on this moratorium that this is not applying to the pilot project. Greg Zeller was there, a VP from Wabash Valley was there. They both heard it. Greg Zeller actually stood up at the meeting. He did not say that he was opposed to the moratorium. Matter of fact, he just promoted, what the project's gonna bring to the county, but he did not specifically say, I'm against this, I don't want you to adopt it. Matter of fact, he said that, if I heard him correctly, and if I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but I heard him say that it's gonna be 2 to 3 years before they even get their project, the pilot project, off the ground. Meaning that they may not even come in for 2 years for permits. So asking for an 8-month moratorium it's not applying to them, first of all, but second of all, it would not be an impact to their project in all likelihood. What we're concerned about is that we do not know, as was mentioned earlier, what other companies there might be that's currently filing for permits with the EPA. There's no obligation for them to notify local government or local property owners to file for EPA permits. There's no obligation for them to notify locals if they're applying for IDEM or DNR or any other permits for future carbon sequestration. So that's why we're suggesting trying to get this in place, because we just don't know who else is possibly going down that pipeline. No pun intended, sorry. But with this moratorium is they cannot come in and file permits. That's what we're asking for. Again, be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions for Brad or Penny on the proposed ordinance before us tonight?
My question is, if there are changes that need to be made, you have said you are willing to go through the process and make those changes so they are legally adopted and move forward legally.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And John, those questions, it would be like a couple lines in the ordinance, is that right? Or?
I made changes to grammar. I scrubbed out the last remaining references to the pilot program, and then I put a statement that mirrored what Penny said at the meeting, that it wasn't intended to apply to the pilot program.
Okay.
So that's all I changed. I thought we were going to review that one tonight, not the previous one.
Okay, and it's your opinion that, well, I guess two questions. I guess they're kind of differing opinions. You said it, since it's an ordinance, we could amend it.
Well, that would be my thought, but if their specialist is saying no, we can't, then I mean, could we enact this one but get started on making some changes,
and
then you could have cover for like a month or two while we work on. Because I'd like to
That's my recommendation.
I don't want someone misinterpreting the references to the pilot program to then try to say we're trying to regulate the pilot program and the state's already approved that, and then knock our moratorium out.
Correct.
That's probably my biggest concern. The grammar I don't care about, but that's probably my greatest concern with it, is that somebody gets to defeat it simply because we left the word pilot in there.
Correct. Yeah, I think what John just said is what I was recommending, which is move forward on this so that it's actually adopted. The way moratorium work, and John, correct me if you know something different, but most of them are upheld as long as they're for a reasonable amount of time. It has to be.
It can't be permanent.
It can't be permanent. It doesn't mean regulations can't be adopted that make it permanent. Like if there's a way in zoning to stop subsequent projects, it's not a moratorium that creates that. Moratorium is just a tool to give us time to study or to write regulations.
So Brad, if approved tonight, there could be a stipulation states that, the commissioner's attorney will work alongside you or the attorney from Fort Wayne to clean up whatever language at your next APC meeting. And if there needs to be changes, that will then come back to the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah. And you guys do have the authority to instruct them on your own to make a change.
Okay.
So there's a separate provision where you can say, look, change this, and then they have to. It basically reverses the process that they're doing.
It's the same process we did with the UDO.
Sure.
The downside is that we're then holding. I would want to change the February date to get more lined up with an 8-month time frame.
Sure.
It says whichever comes first. If it's going to take, and that's why I'm saying if we move forward with this today,
then you keep your February date.
You keep your February date. We start working, and then we promise to come back if there's legal language that needs.
So
to
tonight
change.
we could instruct our county attorney, if he finds language that needs changed, if the commissioner's in agreement, that he would just work directly with you to get that changed.
We would make a revision to this.
And then you would send it back to us.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're thinking this will take how long to do that? What's the process on that? And how long is it going to take?
It would go to the next plan commission meeting. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Which,
Do we have to
Really, the
reread
next
it? Do we
one
have
is-
to reread it as an ordinance to adopt it and all that in 30, 60 days, whatever?
You would just reference this ordinance and make an amendment to that ordinance. So the APC is who actually would make the amendment, make the changes. You'd see it as like a red pen changed document. And that's what comes before you, and you would just say, yes, we agree with the red pen changes and
Sure.
it becomes ordinance. So that's how it would happen.
and the next APC meeting is on, that it would be able to be talked about is the June 12th.
So then we'd have an amended one at the first July, at our meeting in July.
Yes.
John, as our attorney, would you feel comfortable
I think that's a
passing
reasonable
tonight, and the
compromise, to give
commissioners
them something down tonight, and then we can make a few tweaks
and
to it.
we authorize you to go ahead and whatever
Work with
changes you
Brad.
see fit.
You've got my draft, right?
Yeah, so I think the
that's
first
what
step
I'm-
for us is to get you a memo from Bob
Okay.
saying, responding to those two
Yeah.
citations that you mentioned.
Sure.
And then if there's, that may also include an amendment language to this, and then you can add your Scrivener error or whatever else.
That works.
at that
Okay.
time.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments before I entertain a motion on the ordinance before us tonight?
Yes, I have a comment. Where can I get one of those red shirts? When are we going to the State House and having this protest legally? How do you say it?
Peacefully.
Peacefully, legally. If we have to file for permits to go over there to do it, we need to get that in a pipeline. No pun intended. Okay? I will be there with you in a red shirt on that day.
Thank you.
What size? What size do you want your shirt in? I'm one.
Extra large.
All right, got it.
That way I can, never mind. Pack my pistol underneath it.
All right. If there's no other comments or questions or concerns, I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number. Now, John, do I need to?
Private approval of the Indiana Department of Administration is where you apply to protest the State House.
Okay.
Sorry, RJ.
Does this ordinance does it need read aloud?
I don't think so. I would imagine everybody's here has read it anyway, unless somebody just wants to hear it.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion then for this ordinance before us tonight, number 2025-6.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hess. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Peebles. Any other further discussion before the vote? I will say, as a Board of Commissioners, are we in agreement to authorize the county attorney to work with Brad and the attorney from Fort Wayne to go ahead and clean up any language if language needs cleaned up?
Yes.
All right, we'll include that in the motion as well. All right, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. And I would like to just add a couple of comments since we're talking about the carbon now. In the past, there's been a lot of concerns brought forth about, Wabash Valley saying this is a safe project. And I don't think the Board of Commissioners have ever instructed our county attorney or the commissioners themselves to say, WVR, if you believe in this, then you need to site it on site at the Wabash Valley site. There's plenty of other concerns with the aquifer, with the mine ground down at Universal. And if there's no objections from the commissioners, I would like to instruct our county attorney to make those requests to WVR that they move the pilot project back to the site of Wabash Valley. If they believe in the science, they should move it. If they really believe that it's safe, then let them
I
pump
think
it.
they moved the Vigo well there.
Did they?
Yeah.
I
think the
if they
Vigo
can do it
well
for
is there.
Vigo County, I believe they can do it for Vermilion County. So. So if the Board of Commissioners are in agreement with that, I would like to instruct John Spur to make that request to WVR, whether that's our attorneys, whether that's Greg Zeller, whoever that may be, but I'm open to
I'll
discussion.
make the motion.
Yep.
Motion by
I'll
Mr.
second it.
Peoples, second by Mrs. Hess. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John, if you would make those requests to WVR for us, thank you. All right, moving on. Highway, ordinance number 2025-7, speed limit on Potter's Lane. So this is add in here. Misty, do we have a copy of this in here? Oh, it's signed one. Okay. Now, John, do these have to be read, the ordinance for speed limits, or no?
I mean, it's a speed limit
Okay.
ordinance. I don't think there's anything hidden in it.
No, I don't think so either. Just for a brief overview, recommended by our highway department, county ordinance number should be 2025-07, right? 2025-07. An ordinance setting a speed limit on Potter's Lane. There's no current speed limit on Potter's Lane, and the highway department is recommending a speed limit of 20 miles per hour be set out there. So with that, if there's no objections, I'll entertain a motion to approve that ordinance tonight.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hess. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Peebles. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Let's see what's next. Bridge 122 change order. Kylie or Mike, are you here for that, or? Okay.
So there was a change order for Bridge 122. They said it wasn't anything major.
Okay. And
No
that's
extra
with,
cost.
is that Clark Dietz?
No, this one's with RQAW.
RQAW, okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the change order for Bridge 122 as presented by the Highway Department.
What was the change?
Kylie, you give some details on that? And Bridge 122 is through Hillsdale, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one is on Bridge.
I forget. It's in your packet, let me see.
I don't think they told me. I think they said it was something with an NDOT memorandum.
Yeah, I think it says on here, this is zero cost change order per NDOT construction memo 24-3. So it doesn't look like there's any cost, just something from NDOT that's requiring him to do this.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Peebles, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Hess. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, striping project contract approval and signature. And this is the Clark Dietz one, Kylie?
Yep.
Okay. And this is for the one that's going to take place in what, 2027, 2028?
Yep, 2027.
Okay.
I
And
think
then-
it lets February 7th.
okay. And that's the $40,000 project? Well, more than that, but
Yeah.
40,000 cost. All right, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for the striping project contract approval and signature with Clark Dietz.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Hess. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, AT&T contract renewal. Is that highway as well, Kylie?
Partial highway, some Purdue Extension, some jail.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Is that somewhere in here as well?
At the very back.
That was it, okay. I got you. All right. Commissioner, you have that in your packet. I believe this is just something we have to do with AT&T every couple of years. Let's see, we got the cost included in there.
It did lower. They're changing over some of our lines.
Okay.
From copper or something like that. I don't.
Well, if it's-
the old phone lines are, they're changing it to the new phone lines.
Well,
That's
if
gonna save money in the long run.
Yeah, if it's cheaper, we'll take it. I'll entertain a motion by the commissioners to approve the AT&T contract renewal before us.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hess. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Peebles. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Opening bids for Community Crossing 2025-1. Kylie, there's two of these, correct? There's a stripe, or not striping, pardon me, chip and seal and overlay.
Yep.
All right, we'll start with sealed bids for chip and seal. This first one is from Evergreen Road Works, and I'll let Misty read the amounts aloud.
Oh, thank you very much. So there's a sticker on it?
Well, there should be if they didn't put a sticker. You have to flip through a few pages.
the unit price bid C quote sheet.
Yeah,
Is it that number?
should be.
Who's supposed to put those on there?
They are when they submit them.
Oh, they didn't.
They submit these documents, there's like 75 pages in them, and normally they put a nice little sticker that says bid price right here. We'll take them under advisement tonight anyway, but if that's the...
Well, just make sure that's right, because I've never looked at one like that. And there's different numbers.
What's
Cash
this?
and cash equivalents. That's 2024. This is unit price bid C quote sheet. Where's it at?
About the bottom of this one here.
Mm-mm. Here, look and see, because the sticker's not there. Tell me to do it.
Yeah, receipt, get it. Maybe somebody here from Evergreen's here that can tell us what their bid is.
I don't think there's anybody here from Evergreen.
Oh, here you go, right here, combined total units. But I think that's what you had on that one. All right, for Evergreen Road Works, the amount is $176,904.77. Yeah, so you had it right.
Okay.
And that was for which?
That was for the chip and seal. So with our community crossing, we've done some overlay and then chip seal, so they bid it out in two different ones. Next one is for the same chip seal from Pavement Solutions Incorporated. I'll let you do that one too.
That's a good sticker.
It should be in the first few pages.
Oh, yeah, get rid of this. Combined total of all unit bid items, $179,111.72.
Okay, and those are both for the chip and seal.
179,111.72.
And Kylie, it's the highway's recommendation to take these under advisement and let them be reviewed by the Highway Department / Clark Dietz to certify all documents are correct. Okay. Alrighty, we'll open the second one, which is for the Vermilion County bid package for hot mix overlay. First one is Milestone Contractors. This number is going to be a lot higher than 176,000.
Milestone.
Yep, Milestone for this one.
$1,310,898.80.
Okay.
Say that again.
$1,310,898.80.
Okay, next one is for the Community Crossings grant again, hot mix overlay. This is from Reith Riley.
$1,228,082.74.
All right, Commissioners, if there's no objections, we will take those all four under advisement, give them to the Highway Department and Clark Dietz and let them review them and then present their recommended choices. Alrighty, moving on, you should have in your packet, Assessor Paige Kilgore purchase a Microsoft Surface tablet. I don't think she's here tonight. Same deal with probation. An item for the IT has been outdated. EAS says it's no longer worth anything. She received a quote from EAS for, I don't have it in front of me, was it $20, $50, $10? So with that quote, she's agreed to purchase that for $10 from the county, as long as the commissioners are in favor of that tonight. So I'll entertain a motion if there's no objections to that.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hess. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Peebles. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, we have somebody from Aegis come up tonight. Is somebody here?
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Lauren Gannapini. I'm with the Aegis Group. I was just here to introduce ourselves. We're a civil engineering firm based in Indianapolis. third generation, Hoosier owned, established in 1945. We've done work in 90 of the 92 counties here in Indiana. Recently acquired by a company called the Aegis Group, which turned our company global. So we went from a firm headquartered in Indianapolis of about 200 employees to now 20,000 around the world, which has kind of opened up our resources, technology, and toolbox, which is a really cool thing to see, keeping the headquarters nationally here in Indiana. I know I'd sent over a brochure of all of our services. So we do all traditional civil engineering services, bridge design, rehab, road and highway design services, survey, environmental, water resources, land acquisition, trails. We have architects. So we also are in the master planning, comprehensive strategic planning business. For example, we just helped the city of Sullivan finish their comprehensive plan for the city. We also have services in program management, emergency response. We work with FEMA a lot. We are helping the city of Sullivan still to this day with their disaster relief with the tornado that destroyed a large portion of the town or the city. Really, what I think sets us apart is that we offer turnkey solutions for our clients and believe very strongly in customer service and being available. So we're based in Indianapolis. I've spent about 12 hours now in Vigo County and Vermilion County today. So you could say we're dedicated. I'm not a technical staffer. I'm not an engineer. I'm on the client services side. So if there are more technical questions, we're always happy to connect you with our experienced staff. But I just wanted to say hi and introduce ourselves and hope that we can be of service and help the community and the county achieve their goals and the visions that they have. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, per your agreement earlier, we have a few additional items on the agenda here. We have the courthouse quotes from Terry Carrera. This was something started last summer, fall. One is for cleaning the exterior of the building, and the second one is to fix some of the spindles, I believe. Is that right? There's some things failing on the outside of the courthouse. Both quotes are before you. The cleaning one is for, let's see here, that is for cleaning and seal the limestone. That quote's for $83,400. To fix some of the spindles that are outside above the doors that are breaking off, that quote is before you for $78,333. The commissioners have no funds in the maintenance fund for this or in commissioner's court. So if you'd like to review these or for an agreement to send these before the council to see if they would like to fix the courthouse or have it cleaned, but we could send both quotes to them for their review and or approval.
We need to keep the building from deteriorating.
Yeah,
so we need to proceed with sending them to the council.
Sure, I'll entertain a motion then to send both quotes to the county council.
The one was for cleaning and replacing the spindles, as I read it, wasn't it?
No. So the one is from two different companies. So Atlas is the one that would repair the spindles, and then the Hydro Clean Exteriors. That's a different company. They would do a commercial cleaning of the organic growth out there, and then they would also seal the limestone. They did tell us the courthouse is in rather good shape for its age, even though it's, I think, burned down, 2 or 3 times. It's in pretty good shape. However, like you said, things are deteriorating, so it would be prudent to spend some money and invest in it. And Terry did, like I said, work for about 6 months trying to find multiple companies, and there isn't very many out there that even work on courthouses this old. So if you guys are in agreement, we could entertain a motion to send both of these before the county council.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Hess. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Misty, if you would prepare those and send those to the council. I don't know what budgets they would potentially take them out of either. Let's see. That one's done. I did receive an email late today. I wanted to bring to your guys' attention. Mike Turner was at our last meeting about the EDA on the I-74 area, about how it had grown from 900 acres to, I want to paraphrase, 5,000, 3,000, several. And he had asked us if we would, at this meeting when he was here last, if we would change our mind on that and recommend the redevelopment, change the EDA area down to the original 900 acres, 1,000 acres. I told him I would bring that up for the board tonight if you guys were prepared to act on something like that, or if you wanted another meeting to discuss anything.
Fine.
My only question is the money through taxes coming from an area of 900 acres versus an area of thousands of acres.
Yeah, several thousand.
It's going to be near impossible to make any upgrades for drainage or anything like that in that area if we only have a 900 acre tax base on. Are we talking about the TIF area?
Yeah, the TIF area, the EDA area TIF district where they had, and it included, originally it was only a small portion of that 900 acres, which included the I-74 corridor, the 136, and clear to the state line that encompassed that. When they expanded it, it went clear to River Road, which is 300 east, where you potentially will see no development because the road is 8 feet wide. It's hard to get a fire truck back there. I guess I'm of the opinion, I'm not opposed to reducing it. We can always change it, I guess, but I think the argument of the citizens I've heard in the northern part of the district is it had started out at 900 acres and then expanded into something more. And even though, we had said we have no plans for development on the 300 east or these acres, we could reduce it down to that. But again, that's just for discussion tonight, or if you would like to act on that, we could request that the redevelopment board change their plan. And there also is some language in that current EDA plan that says they may have to use eminent domain, and I'm a strong opponent of that. I don't like using that at all. I think if any utilities are to be used, the county right-of-way would be used. We're not going to force a landowner to sell land to run a pipeline through their property, or at least that's my opinion of it anyway. So anyway, open a discussion, whatever you guys think.
Does it need to be 9,000 acres? No.
Is it? Does any Penny? Do you know? I don't have the.
It's just a little bit less than 11,000 acres currently, but originally was less than 1,000.
Yeah.
So it goes from the state line to the Wabash River, from Warren County down to 1450.
Yep.
Which is
11,000 acres.
the
Superior Coach.
Superior Coach
is on that
yes,
road.
yes.
Yes, right.
So I think the original 1,000 acres would, support my idea of potential growth, which would be the 136 area, potentially Rileysburg Road, potentially 74, south of 74, north of 74. So I would have no objections to requesting the redevelopment board change the EDA plan and request them to bring that down from 11,000 acres.
Back to the 900 acres?
I would be open if they said, hey, we need 1,500 because we need to, whatever that number is, I would be open, but I'm open to going back to the original 900 or 1,000.
Yeah, I think it was like 983. I don't
Might as
know
well,
the
yeah.
exact acres, but I think the original was 983.
Yeah, but the original plan was strictly for the water to the Welcome Center, running water potentially to the beef house, and getting growth there. I think their idea was let's just expand it bigger and bigger, and maybe it got a little too out of control. I think
it's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference. But I told Mike I'd bring that up tonight and discuss it with you guys, see what you thought.
Without having economic development here to explain what the purpose is for that many acres, what the intent is for in the future, it is very difficult to make a decision on this.
Sure. Would the then with that, would the commissioners be opposed to, because we don't really have economic development in the county right now, all we have is redevelopment. Would the commissioners be opposed to emailing redevelopment, having them explain the 11,000 acres, and if there's an agreement among the commissioners, ask them to reduce that or work with them on that? Is there any objections to that or any thoughts on that?
I can see some reduction, but to reduce it down to 900 acres is going to be, that's not going to be worth anything.
Yeah.
That tax money off of 900 acres isn't
So,
going to
the
pay for new stop signs.
For the record, Penny, so everybody can hear you.
All right, correct me if I'm wrong, Highland Township. The 900 acres is where they're gonna collect the TIF money from, okay? The other part is where the money can be used in that areas. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anything that's developed from now, it's what it is, but when it develops, that money would be captured and then used.
It could be, and that was the the counter argument was if infrastructure, internet service needed to be ran to say County Road 300 East, you could utilize that money from the TIF district.
And the reason it grew so fast is my understanding. Now it's just there he goes. He knows all about it. There was a possibility of something being developed on 1450 in the near future, and they wanted to capture that taxes if it was going to happen. But I don't have anything that says it's going to happen. But there are rumors that solar was going to come in there. So that's a reason I do believe they went that large.
Okay.
You have anything you want to say? Because this is Mr. Harry from Highland Township. He's been at every meeting about this TIF stuff.
Yeah. So there be any objection to just reaching out to redevelopment and saying, hey, we have some potential concerns on the 11,000 acres or 9,000, whatever that number is, and see what their opinions are on reduction, if they can be reduced, and if so, what would they feel comfortable reducing it at?
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right, we'll send an email to redevelopment then for that. All right, thank you. Last three things we got on here. The commissioners have been working towards setting some public ambulance meetings. We have Director Lanzone here from Park County. We greatly appreciate you and Park County helping us out. The commissioners have agreed to set 3 public hearings at Commissioner Peoples' request in each commissioner's district, so each part of the county is represented. Those dates are as follows: May 22nd at the Cayuga Fire Department Community Center, May 27th at Clinton with a place to be determined very soon, and May 29th at the Dana Firehouse. All meetings will take place at 6 p.m. We will have some parameters set up, and we'll announce here shortly on how those meetings will go, but we'd like the community's input and look forward to hearing from them. So add those to your calendars if you're interested in those. Last 2 things are just some announcements. The Board of Commissioners, first one, we'd started a junior county commissioner program with North Vermillion and South Vermillion. Starting in August, we will have 3 students join us for a junior Board of Commissioners. They will meet before the commissioners. They will be sworn in by Judge Reed. They will be given items to work on, propose to the county, whether it's trails, whether it's highway, whether it's roads. So if you know anybody in North Vermillion or South Vermillion School District and high school, they can reach out to either principal, either guidance counselor, or the auditor's office here. There's an application online you can apply at. We look forward to having them. Second announcement we have is the Board of Commissioners are announcing a Vermillion County Adopt a County Road program, similar to the state of Indiana, where you can adopt a road, a section of road. There's going to be guidelines where you clean it so many times, then the county will go out and put a sign up in reference to your group or organization. We don't like to see people litter on our county roads, so we think this is going to be a good program started. That groups can get involved. We will make that available in the auditor's office and at the highway department as well for you to apply for that. And then I think lastly on the agenda we have, I think that might be it. Commissioners, is there anything else? Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Bill. This is usually done in January. We didn't do this in January. Commissioners are supposed to disclose any conflict of interest with the county. So tonight I'll ask the commissioners if they've signed any conflict of interest statements, and if they have, they will be recorded in the clerk's office. Ms. T, have you signed any conflict of interest? No. I have as a commissioner. Mr. Peebles?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and those are for public view in the clerk's office for those. They can be things of like former commissioners, if you're a tow truck driver or you're like me that have a restaurant, we feed people on a countywide cleanup day, and you just have to file those with the court. So those have been done. Anything else for the board tonight? No? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Hess. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Oh, gosh, my leg.